Christmas cookies, babe. Now those sprinkly things just make things worse, cause it makes them taste better than they did at first, and they're absolutely impossible to resist. Some disappear to who knows where. Well, I make dang sure that I get my share, and the dogs just stand there waiting for the ones I missed. I sure do like those Christmas cookies, sugar. Well, I sure do like those Christmas cookies, babe. He gets mad that they're all gone before I get the icing put on. I sure do like those Christmas cookies, babe. Now there's a benefit to all of this that you might have overlooked or missed. So now, let me tell you the best part of it all. Every time I stick another batch in the oven, there's 15 minutes for some kissing and a hugging. That's why I eat Christmas cookies all year long. Yeah.
Woo! Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. I'm Babz Rawls-Ivy. If it's around 9, it's time for LoveBabz, LoveTalk. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I think it's bright and shiny out there in the elm this morning. It looks bright and shiny. So bulk trash finally came. I just want to share that because I put out bulk trash yesterday. I put out a sectional. It was a sectional in my house. And then when I moved here, it came with. But I had scheduled it for you go and you make the schedule because I needed to get out because it's just not going to be for the design aesthetic. But every time I wanted to move it, some child would have to camp on it because, they're trying to get their lives together. So one by one, each of them have slept on the couch at some point. So anyway, everyone was out of the house except Margot this particular time. I thought, all right, let me get rid of this thing now because it's so big. And so it got to the curb, although my son is staying here right now for a little bit while he gets it together. But anyway, the couch had to go. So it went out. So, people drive by bulk trash stuff and look for things. I saw it happen when I lived on my house in Bellevue. And we put stuff out and people would just come get it before bulk trash pickup. So same thing happened here. So somebody came and got the sofa. And then we just put some more stuff out last night. But I had a chair that belonged to my mom. My mother had 2 wing chairs, and they were in my basement at my house. And my basement had flooded, so one of them got badly damaged, how water can just make mold. But the other one was okay, but it was, still smelled moldy, but it was okay. It didn't sustain damage that way. So I brought it with me here, but I could never get rid of that mold smell, no matter what I did, no matter how much washing, how much Febreze, it was just in it. So I had to let it go. So I put it on the curb yesterday. And then this morning I was like washing, how much Febreze, it was just in it. So I had to let it go. So I got up this morning with the belief I was feeling a little bit like, I don't know if I want to give up that chair. And so I was going to get up this morning and bring it back in the house. But then when my daughter went to work, she said, oh yeah, they just came and picked up the bulk trash. And I was like, I felt kind of sad about it. Now, my mother's been dead for 20 some odd years. It was time to let go of the chair. Intellectually, I know that. But emotionally, I was feeling a little sad about that. I'm still a little sad about it. Because then I was thinking, well, I could have done something with the chair. I could have, and I think this is the lesson in sometimes you just have to let things go. Even if you don't want to let things go, it's in your best interest to let things go because it doesn't serve you. And if the chair is not serving you, why are you keeping it? And that's true for anything and everything that is in your life. If it doesn't serve you, and serve you meaning not in an egotistical way and not in a selfish way, but in a way that makes sense to what you're trying to do in your life. Simple as that. And so once I came to grips with that, I could still be sad about it, because sadness is a real emotion. And it's not an emotion that you have to push away or stuff down. It is an emotion that you can absolutely experience and walk through and not have it like turn you upside down. So yeah, so I'm a little sad about the chair because, and I know, and this is the other part of this, the chair is not my mother. The chair is not a physical manifestation of my mother. It is not my mother, but she sat in the chair. She loved the chair, and it went with a whole furniture set. Now, I gave away the furniture set when she died. We decided as my family, we didn't want it because my mother, it was very white, this furniture. It was like ivory. It was no way I was having ivory furniture in my house. And so off it went. But I kept the wing chairs because they meant something to me. And I just like the look of a wing chair, but I understand this from a long time ago, that if you cannot receive gifts with closed fist, and the chair was representing a closed fist. So I had to release the chair, and I knew it. I mean, I've known it for quite some time. So yeah, so I did it. It's done. I did it. It's done. Ho hum. I did it. It's done. Ho hum. And it's just, it's a little heartbreaking, a little sad, but that's where we are. So that's my sad chair story for this morning. And it's all right to be sad. I want people to understand it's okay to be sad. People think they have to hide emotions all the time and can't show, or express their real feelings about a thing. It's all right. It's healthy to sort of say, that breaks my heart, or that makes me sad, or I'm not in despair. It's not despair. I'm genuinely sad about the chair, but that's just what it is. And I know it's just going to go to the dump, or somebody will pick it up at the junkyard or whatever, but that's just what it is. So drinking my morning coffee, my Cafe Bustelo with my adaptogen creamer and a little MCT oil because I'm weight training. And when I go on break, I'm going to make me some eggs, because I need to eat something before I go to the gym. So I went to Burlington last night. These stores get on my damn nerves so much. So, the woman was taking all the little sensors, and there were sensors on the sock. And I said to her when she was doing her little thing, I said, just make sure you get all the sensors, because I don't want to come back. I think she was just being an asshole or whatever. So now I got to go back because she didn't take the sensor off a sock. One sock. It was a pack of socks, and there's a sensor just on one. A part of me just wants to throw the whole damn thing away. Not all the socks, just that one sock. But then I'd be without a sock. So I'm going to go up there today and have them take the sensor off the sock. And they better not say a damn thing to me about it. I'll be calling somebody for bail. I know, 'tis the season. See what I mean? I have to get up every morning and believe I see the Christ, and I fail miserably. I haven't even got out the door, and I've already failed. I'm only human, flesh and blood. So that's just where I am. Don't mind me. I'm about to get into Advent, because I said we're going to do Advent every day while I'm on air, not on the weekends. I do it on the weekends, but I'm not here on the weekends. So I'm going to just go and do, I'm just going to read up the Advent. So today is day 6. And I already put it out there on Facebook that we're gonna have Christmas caroling. So I got to look at some dates. And I think somebody asked me to do it in Fairhaven too. I don't know how that's gonna work. It's not going to be 12 days of Christmas. I mean, we'll sing 12 days of Christmas, but it's not going to be 12 days of caroling. It's going to be like 3 days of caroling, because Christmas is 19 days away. And I still have to do Christmas cards. And I still have to do The World Needs More Love Letters. And I'm waiting to hear back from Lauren when a day I could gather people to do these love letters. It's one of my favorite things. And I hope that people will feel the same way when they do it. You know, it really is a wonderful thing. So let's get into our daily Advent reading, because I really want y'all to get into the spirit of it, the grounding of it. And you don't have to be Christian to get into it. Do you know what I mean? Like I really want to make that clear to people, because you know, people put so many labels and barriers. So anyway, so Hannah Brencher, who I'm such a fan of, is doing the season of Advent, and she does it every year. And it's a 25-day journey through the story of Advent. And I love it. And this year she gave it to us ahead of time, all the lessons. And so and you just follow along at your leisure, at your pace. So before I started doing this on the radio this year, I just would read them in my bed to myself. But now I feel like, you know, I'm gonna share it with y'all. So here's 6. 5 months of savoring. Luke 1, the scripture is Luke 1, 23 through 25. And so this is in Hannah Brencher's words, not my words. I'm just reading what she wrote, you know. So we are packing up camp and moving forward in the story. Full steam ahead, friend. After Zechariah is visited by the angel Gabriel, Elizabeth gets pregnant. When Elizabeth finds out that A, the Lord has heard her cries, and B, she is pregnant in old age, I do not wish to be Elizabeth. She does something that absolutely stuns me. She spends the next 5 months in seclusion, tucked away, off of social media, phone in airplane mode. You get the point. Homegirl holds herself up for 5 months to be alone with God and savor the miracle of her pregnancy. Elizabeth practically created maternity leave. Elizabeth was like, I'm overjoyed. I'm going to revere God in this moment because I'm an old lady. I'm about to have a baby, something I always wanted to do. My fertility is no longer in question. That is dedication on a whole new level. I marvel when I managed to get along with God for more than an hour, but can you imagine what it would be like to get along with him for 5 whole months? No. Every waking and sleeping breath, I'm not going to lie, there are big parts of me that I feel like this would be impossible for me. Well, if you go to prison, I mean, it's the same thing. If this were me and I'm getting the best news of my life, if the impossible was suddenly possible, then I'm shouting it from the rooftops. I'm telling everyone. I'm writing the Instagram post right now. Baby, I would. Imagine the naysayers in Elizabeth's life. Imagine the people who likely told her, hey, I think you should give up on that prayer for a baby at this point because you're too old to bear a child. People never mind their own damn business. I'm paraphrasing in there. If I'm Elizabeth, I'm dressing up my baby bump and I'm heading into town square to tell every human with ears to listen that God's goodness is a real thing. I'd show those naysayers a big old pregnant belly-sized God miracle. And don't get me wrong, God loves the praise that comes off our lips. But God is most honored and most pleased when we get along with him because he, even without the miracles, is worth being praised. When was the last time you got away with God just to savor what he had already done in your life? Oh, I do it quite often. When was the last time you witnessed God doing something beautiful in your life? All the time. This is me saying that. And you spent time thanking him first before sharing it on social media. Yeah, I am spiritually mature, so I got that. I wanted to leave you with a challenge today. So this is for y'all out there who don't do this. And I'm not making a judgment. I'm just giving you permission to think about it. This year is about to end. If we aren't careful, we will skip right from Christmas into the new year. We will hit December 26th and we will set our goals and sprint towards the new year, believing we're suddenly the people who eat kale, unplug our phones, go to the gym daily, and practice skincare routines religiously. But I want to challenge you to pause at some point at this next week. Carve out a space, just 15 minutes. That's all. Set a timer in those 15 minutes. And I want you to go back and reflect on 2023. Reflect on the work you did and the big things that happened. Reflect on the small projects and the ordinary miracles you encountered. Reflect on the prayers you prayed and the good things God did in your life. Reflect on the things that hurt you and the things that didn't go your way in 2023. Carve out space to reflect with God before you start posting 2024 goals all over social media. God did something in 2023. Don't discount the beautiful and ruinous things that made you this year. Just make space to remember what God has done in the year behind you before you move forward into a new year. I believe this is what Elizabeth did throughout those 5 months alone with God. She reflected on his goodness. She worshiped. She made much of him. She cultivated an inner relationship with God, and that would sustain her for the long haul. She dedicated time to say to God over and over again, "Thank you. This is wild. Thank you." It would have been easy for her to share the news as fast as she could. Instead, she paused. She waited. She savored. And in the savoring, her spirit was satisfied. Okay, so steal the prayer. Here's a prayer that you can take with you today. You know what I always say? Take what you need, and whatever you don't need, leave on the side of the road for somebody else. Dear God, I'm tempted to run towards the new year, towards new growth and new goals. Help me stop and pause, if only for a few minutes, to spend the last of 2023 remembering your faithfulness as I sit down to reflect, amplify the work and the growth you did in me. I'm ready to spend the last moments of 2023 savoring all you've done. And that is the Advent message for today, saints. Do with it what you will. I think that's a good point, because everybody's everybody gets into resolution mode. Now I have been working on my spiritual formation for a decade, and then for well over a decade. I've always been spiritual, but I've really dedicated building my spiritual muscle over the last decade. And so I like where I am spiritually. Is it perfection? Hell no. Am I doing all the things? Hell no. But I'm not starting from scratch. There's no starting from scratch. I'm not starting from scratch. So take the time before we get into the new year to just be in this year, be in 2023 proper before you jump into 2024. And I like this notion of reflecting. And I was trying to figure out what kind of ways I should journal. And I was like, well, I've done so many gratitude journals. I've kept diaries. But I think now a reflecting journal would be a good idea, to just go about the day and just process the day. Not so much record the day, but to capture what I take away from the day. That might be a good use of my time. As someone who feels deeply about being present in the day and noticing God in the ordinary and romance in the ordinary, I can reflect on where I am in this moment. And being on air like this is pretty much what that is, just reflecting. I don't report anything, not telling people stuff they don't intuitively already know, spiritually, intellectually already know about who they are, where they are in the world. I always say to people, when people sort of have desolation and despair, it's because they don't like the answers of their life at the moment, and they feel a little bit powerless or helpless to make the changes necessary to get to the life that they want, because they think it's going to be such a heavy lift that it's almost impossible. And it really isn't. I wish people could get to that place a little faster. It's not impossible to change your life. It just takes one step. And God gives you enough light for the first step. And then with that first step, you gain some strength, and you are able to take the next step. And before the hell you know it, you already up the stairs and down the road. Because people get intimidated when they see the whole staircase. And they say, oh, I couldn't possibly, But, when you put one foot in front of the other, that's what it is. I'm often asked, how did I overcome and come through? I just one breath at a time. I have a friend who was going through a very difficult time, and she sent me a message telling me what the time, and it's shocking. I haven't responded because I'm so shocked by it. But I didn't go to condemnation in a way that I think most people would go to condemnation about the situation. As I age, I'm much more prayerful and much more in a state of grace and forgiving. Now, I'm not one of these people that believes in forgiveness for the sake of forgiveness. I almost don't really believe in forgiveness. I know people hate when I say that because they just think I'm holding on to some wound or something. And I assure you, I am not. I just think there are some things that just does not deserve your forgiveness, And I know that's probably antithesis to my faith in how God is such a forgiving God. But I recognize that I'm a work in progress, so there's that. But for me, I just think there are some things that are not necessary for me to forgive. What I can do is give myself grace for what I was not able to do in any situation. I think that's where I land. I don't need to say to somebody, I forgive you because you stabbed me in the back or you wounded me. I don't know how to come to that. I'm never going to come to that. But what I can do is give myself grace. And grace really is internal forgiveness, right? That's my own way of saying, you know what, Babz, there was nothing you could do in that situation but to react the way that you reacted. And even if there was something else that you could have done in that situation and you still reacted that way, cut yourself some damn slack. That's the grace for me. That's the best that I can do. I cannot forgive people for their stuff. I don't think I have to, I don't think you have to move on. I think you can forgive yourself for the way that you behaved and the way that you responded and the way that you reacted in any situation. I don't think you owe people forgiveness. But that's something that I must wrestle with in my own maturity and in my own spiritual journey until I am convinced otherwise. But I think I'm on to something that is deeper than just like, oh, I forgive you, and let's just call it a day. I think I have to say, I'm gonna give myself some grace in this. And I may extend grace to you. I'm gonna give you grace to get on out of my life and go head on down the road unharmed. If that ain't forgiveness, I don't know what is. But seriously, I I wrestle with this whole forgiveness idea because people will say, well, forgiveness is not for you, is not for them, it's for you. I don't even want to attach myself to whoever did the grievous thing. All I could do is say, let me make space. Let me hold sacred my position and get some understanding from myself about my response, my behavior, my actions in any matter. And that's it. And when people hurt you, sometimes there's nothing you can do except acknowledge that they hurt you and keep it pushing. And I don't think anybody should hurt you because they think they have the right to hurt you. That makes no sense to me either. Well, you did this, so I must therefore do that. That's a choice. You're making a choice. You're just making a damn choice. And people can't stand to be wronged. They just can't. And retaliation and revenge is so much part of the culture. Even though people will say, whatever, it is. It is. That's the basis of road rage. That's what the basis of people murder for hire plots. That's the basis for angry divorces, revenge. I just can't stand that you would have something that I do not wish to give you. And if people really just settled into that and did some contemplative work and some discerning work about what are they really saying, then they could get past all this. But when you're hyped up in the moment, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. And so, cut yourself some grace. Now, listen, I'm not talking about these people who are murderers and pedophiles, and that's a different conversation. I was talking about everyday, ordinary, practical, ebb and flow kinds of things. Fall out with people, fight with people, walk away from people, disengage from people, divorce people. I had a whole breakup with a friend who is no longer my friend. And I must say, although I miss that person, I am happier without that person in my circle. Well, how can that be, Babz? Because for the longest time, I believe I was divesting from that person. And not doing a good job. And I knew it maybe 2 years out. But I was just like, well, it was comfortable and it was easy. It didn't require a whole lot except the breaking of my own heart. The breaking of my own heart. And it was such a heavy lift. But now I don't, you can miss people and not want to be in their universe. And I miss this person, but I don't want to be in their universe. And I damn sure don't want them in my universe. And so we are adjacent because we've got folks in common, but our everyday interaction no longer exists. And I'm quite happy about that. And, I realized that, when you interact with somebody and you are intentional and deliberate, you invite them in and you stay connected to them. And then when you don't, you dissolve. And we were intentional about being connected to each other equally. And now I don't feel that way. And I'm happy. like I could care less. I don't think that's the right way to say I could care less. I would be happy not seeing that person ever again. Not because I have some emotion or whatever. It's just that I just never feel like it's necessary. But I'm a Taurus, and Tauruses get like that. Tauruses can walk away from you and act as though you don't exist. And I've been like that my whole life. I don't know if that's a thing I should brag about. I don't think I'm bragging about this. I'm just saying I'm one of these people. If I leave you, I'm gone. And I've been like a lot of people. You leave people, you come back to them, you leave them, you come back to them the second time around, the third time. But once I make up in my mind to be gone, I'm gone. And and then if I see you or whatever, it'll be like I met you for the first time, because I was like, I don't know you. I don't know you. And I've been like that my whole life. Once I'm gone from you, I'm gone. And I don't have no kind of feeling about it one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think about, oh, I wish. I only did that when I got divorced. Because I think, marriage was the most sacred thing to me. The vows, the commitment. I am that person. Once I'm in that realm, I'm fully in it. And so when that ended, I did a lot of, what could have been or what could be. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that. I spent a lot of time pining for a life that I thought I was being denied or deprived from. And I've never done that in any other relationship in my whole life. I broke up with boyfriends and fiancés, all that foolishness. And I never once said, oh, let me imagine what this could have been like. I only did that when I got divorced. That was the only time. And that was because the idea of marriage and the act of marriage still is very sacred to me. That's just what it is. And I'm not defending that. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know how I think about these matters. And that's just what it is. So if I'm gone from you, I'm gone from you. I got a ex-boyfriend who's been trying to reach me for the last, I don't know, several years. And, he keeps changing his phone number and then calling me. And I do not respond. I do not answer. I just keep, I get a text or a message. I just delete them and I block every new number because I'm not interested in conversing. I'm done. I'm not interested in what is happening or anything about you, And I thought, well, then I never really thought, well, maybe I should entertain this. And I'm not even mad. I'm like, I always think about this quote that I read in an Anne Lamott book. And her friend had said, why go back for more where there was only less? And I hold that in my space, in my spirit all the time, particularly when I know when people don't come back to you correct, when they don't come back to you apologetic, when they come back with the same foolishness on their lips that caused you to push them out of your life to begin with, And when they try to center themselves in your story in a way that puts it on I was like, get the hell out of here. You're still doing stupid stuff. You still talking that same old foolishness. You still about nothing. And I'm supposed to, my time is very, 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 very important to me. Very important. And although I do not believe in wasting time, I do not believe in squandering time. And I'm not going to engage with people who want to squander my time. You done shown me a lifetime of what you're about. You've not changed, but I've changed exponentially. So, deuces. I just can't go back for more where there was only less. And I don't, I saw this thing about a woman living alone is luxury. And that's how I feel. I do not feel compelled to be coupled. I do not feel compelled to be in a relationship. I think people, and this might be harsh. I love so many people, and I am in relationship with some amazing people that I can't even imagine better, more. It's so good. I'm in such a good, sweet spot that I so love the way my life is unfolding. I love what I get to do. I love the people I get to interact with. I love the stuff that they're working on, and that I could have a seat at the table, and I could just be up close watching them achieve stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is what I think. I feel like the Harlem Renaissance. I feel like how Richard Wright and Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, all these cats, they were all contemporaries. I feel like I'm amongst greatness with all my friends and the stuff that they're working on and the stuff that they're doing. And it's just such an amazing thing to sort of sit at the table and watch friends do cool stuff. And I get to do cool stuff. Like last night I got to hang out with the Broken Umbrella. I went to rehearsals. They do this improv. And I went last night around 8 till about 10. And I had so much fun. And they put me in the spot. They pushed me in the spotlight to sort of do the stuff. And I had so much fun. It was so much fun. And I thought, this is what I like to be doing. This is what I like to be doing. So I can't imagine, I can't imagine what else could be happening. What else is missing? There's nothing missing. I'm not missing anything, And listen, the door is not closed to romantic. I'm romantic anyway. I'm romantic all the time. I romance my friends. I don't know any other way to be. I don't know any other way to be. So yeah, that's just where, that's how I think about things, how I am in the world, and once I get all the kids out the house, once I get out of the house, once I get them all out, and they're fine, they'll be fine. They don't even know how fine they'll be. Then I could really sort of live into the dreams of where I want my life to be, and I'm working on my space now, and I have a lot of stuff. I need to divest some of this stuff, but it's a work in progress. I get to do this work in progress. So I got paint. I got to start painting, put some paint on these walls. I hate painting, but I have friends who will be like, all right, give me a brush. Where we start? So I just got to move stuff a little bit more so that they could have space to get in here and paint. Because it's going to get painted. you know. It's going to get done. So yeah. So I just say that to say, we can. I have a friend who says these little things, and she was a blogger, but she makes these little posters and things. She's like, if you could drive yourself crazy, you could drive yourself happy. And I love it. I I I love it. You know, I love it. And so you could take that, little message and you can apply it to all kinds of things. You know, if you could be sad, you could be happy. If you could be in despair, you could be joyous. Just because you're in despair does not mean you have to live there. And we have to figure out ways to sort of pull ourselves up out of that. And I know that this season is very challenging for a lot of people because everybody's now ho 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 and jolly jolly. And I get it, you know. But I would invite people to try it on. To try on some ho ho ho. Try it on. Behave your way into the season. Behave your way into joy. Behave your way into happiness. Behave your way into peace. And that was one of the first spiritual lessons that I learned, you know, when I was evolving, when I was becoming as I am becoming, was to behave my way into, so that it's not fake. It's not like fake it till you make it, but just, you know, behave your way into happiness. And what does that look like for you? Surely there are some things that could make you happy, because unhappiness means you are focusing on something that you cannot control. You're focused on something that might be out of the realm of possibility. You might be focusing on some harm that was done to you. And I get that, because God knows I've had a lot of harm done, you know. But if you could behave your way into something other than where you are right now, like if you're in despair, then go do something that is the opposite of despair, you know. And this is how I got into writing love letters. This is how I got, you know, this is how I learned about Hannah Brencher, by finding out about her story, finding her because she was a blogger. Like, we all were bloggers. And I think she went to Yale. She was here. And she was in despair. She was leaving these little love letters all over town and places, and people would find them and would respond, and then would in kind do the same thing for somebody else. And that lifted her. And so I understood that. I was like, oh, it's about pulling yourself out of your own despair and going and focusing on somebody else and what needs to happen somewhere else, you know. And I don't say like, oh, go serve in a soup kitchen because people are worse off than you, and that's an example for you to realize that your life is better. No, you serve in a soup kitchen because you believe people are hungry, you want to feed them. Don't put your mess off on that. But there is something to be said for doing that, for doing good in the world. There is something to be said for doing good in the world. And you can do good in the world, you know. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, huge. It can be something small, as leaving a note for somebody in a library book that says, you know what? Whatever you're doing today, you are loved. You know, or when you see people on the street, if you don't want to give them money, look at them and see them. And don't see them with contempt. See them as your fellow citizens and neighbors. Just see them. Oftentimes people scurry by homeless people, and then they get all uncomfortable. And homeless people will just stare right back at you and make you see them. And every time I can't give them money, because sometimes I just don't have it to give, a prayer has to come out of my mouth. You know, God watch over them. You know, and people get all bent out of shit. Well, if you give them money, they're going to go buy liquor. Hell, I drink every day. I'd buy liquor. What are you talking about? When you give somebody money, that's it. they get to do what they want with it. It's not a loan. You're giving it to them. And listen, if you're out on the streets, you might need a drink too. I'm just saying. Like, before you make these harsh judgments, people over $1, you make harsh judgments over $1, but you don't make these harsh judgments over your U.S. government who uses your money any old kind of way in places and spaces that you are not privy to. I'm just saying, keep it real. Like, stop being assholes. 'Tis the season of mystery, of magic, of miracles. And you know what? You could be a miracle to somebody. You could be a miracle to somebody. You know what I mean? You know students who are struggling, cash app them $50. You know people in your neighborhood who might be able to use a bag of groceries or a gift card to a grocery store, leave it in their mailbox, and don't let them know you did it. Everybody wants to take pictures of them doing good shit. I mean, oops, sorry. It's a family show. Do something without telling people. I do it all the time. And I'm not telling you because I want to tell you what I do. I'm telling you because you build it into a spiritual practice about how you are in the world and how you want to be in the world. That's all. Just, be better humans. We can be better humans. This is the season of mystery, magic, miracles. And I don't know any religious entity that's not Diwali and Judaism and Muslims, the all the tribes of Abraham, all the tribes of all other spiritual leaders and guidance and prophets. There's a lot we could do. We have the power to do so many things. We could do them. So yeah. So I'm gonna finish my coffee. I'm gonna go make an egg because I need to have some breakfast. And then I'm gonna come back with Trina Learned. Trina Learned is the interim director of a creative arts workshop, and they are celebrating their founder, which is a story up on the arts paper. They have an exhibit going on for let's see, what is her name? So there's a whole story up. Audubon Arts Hero Remembered in New Exhibit. So there's an exhibit of Ann P. Lehman of her work, and it kicked off on December 3rd, and it's going to run until I think January or so. But she just died. She was 94 years old. So the show runs to January 27th. And it's got, it's going to run across 3 of creative art workshops, 3 galleries. So you'll be able to go and see her work. But she is the founder of the Creative Arts Workshop. And I think that's a wonderful way to celebrate somebody's creative life, is to give them a whole bunch of gallery space. So Trina's coming on to talk about all of this and what it means to them and what they're up to and how they're going to continue to celebrate Ann. What's happening, Harry?
What's up, Babz? So, yeah, I'm over here playing around. We're on Instagram today. We're broadcasting on the Insta today.
Okay.
I'm testing it. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I don't like the whole format of, portrait. You have to have it in a certain format, and the cameras look small to me and all of that stuff. But it's a test. On the LoveBabz LoveTalk show is on. If you go to at WNHHLP on Instagram, we're broadcasting there right now. And you're listening to LoveBabz LoveTalk on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. And
can they see us in Mars, though? That's all I care about.
I think they see us everywhere. You know, I was listening to a show that said how they're finding that this, like in Antarctica, you have life forms that shouldn't exist under the conditions of our world, and they find that those life forms probably exist on planets that are frozen. So who knows if there's a population of icicles that walk around and are more intelligent than us. But yeah, so I think even icicles, in what's the Europa,
Yes.
where they want to actually go and check it out, but they're trying to figure out how they drill into that ice. So there may be ice people over there,
Now we got to worry about that.
It'd be easy to defeat them, Babz. We hit them with our global warming.
Woo, Harry, you don't got good sense.
They don't want to come here. They melt quickly. Or the bacteria in our water. All we got to do is offer them a couple water baths. There's not much. I think they said there's like 60% of the drinking water in America is not really drinkable.
Oh, I know, Harry. That's, you know what? I'm not worried about people coming over here killing us. You know what's going to kill us? Us and our foolishness around not having clean air, clean water.
Well, why have clean air and water? The ones who do have good water is the Saudis, because they have a whole desalination plant where they take the water from, I don't know if it's the Red Sea or wherever they take it from, and they process it and it's just clean water. I don't know if we're gonna have to do that. I mean, we should probably do that anyway. We have so many places that go through droughts that we should grab seawater and just clean it and ship it around the country. But why give people water?
Yeah, I don't know. Because we hate people anyway, so let's just.
I'm hopeful like Babz. I'm the opposite. She's over here ending with hope, and I come in. What was it that Paul called me? Paul called me something else.
Oh, all right, I gotta go have eggs. I'll be back at 10:15.
Yesterday, Paul called
me. Call you what?
Debbie Downer.
But I mean, you are kind of Harry.
I like to say, can't we all just get along? Anyway, we'll be right back. Look for that link. LoveBabz, LoveTalk now on Insta. I don't know how long we're gonna last here because I don't like it. But now on Insta, and look for that link because she's gonna have Trina Learned in the next hour, 10:15. Look for us.
Now I'm gonna go look on the Insta page and see what's happening. All right, I'll be back.
Girl, I wanna make your dreams come true, so you'll be mine. I wanna be yours. Will you be mine, babe? Yes, be mine. Oh, for Christmas.